So, Anisa, what are we talking about today?
So, if you've been watching the drama, and just a spoiler warning, we're going to be talking about all of 8 episodes that have aired so far. But before we get into spoilers, I'll just quickly give you the premise in case you want to watch it later. It's basically about this runner who has come up to some like difficulties with his career, and a subtitle translator who subtitles like movies from Korean into English, and they're sort of meeting and romance, and the people around them. The people in their lives. The second leads are a chaebol, like a female chaebol heir, who has issues with her family, and she's also the agency head for the male lead. And the other second lead is a college student who paints art, and he's very sunny and cheerful. And
Yeah.
did I say the cast too?
I think the cast that we are most familiar with, of course, is Im Shi-wan, famously from Misaeng, and Shin Se-kyung, most lately from rookie historian Goo Hae-ryung.
Goo Hae-ryung, yeah, she
Goo
was so
Hae-ryung,
good in that.
sorry.
And I've also I haven't liked her that much in modern stuff. I always find her to be really good in Saguk's historical dramas, but not that good in modern stuff. But she's doing a really good job this time in a modern role.
It's the way her character has been written. I kind of feel the same confident, take charge vibe from her, which sounds so cliched, but you know what I mean? Like, you got this from Rookie Historian. She has been given this really capable, very opinionated character, and she's not a caricature of a capable, opinionated character like the lead from, like, the Park Sodam character was from Roy, Record of Youth. This woman, Minju, right? She actually has a very clear idea of what she wants to do. She has a set schedule. She has this work that she likes doing. She's trying to develop her career in the way she knows she can. I just really love her. She's there's nothing remotely passive about her, and this so works with this actor.
Can I just say also, like, her freelancer work life is so relatable. I'm dying. like the odd hours, working at night and sleeping in the morning, having times when you have you're making no money, and later you're making a lot of some money, but you're busy and you don't have time for anything else. Like, it's just very, very relatable. The writing,
super relatable.
The writing in this drama is the star. Honestly, the writing is amazing. Go ahead, say what you're
detailed. First of all, the freelance thing. Yes, I felt attacked. I felt called out.
Yes,
because I live like that, project to project, and I'm staying up night after night, and then there is an entire week, and all I'm doing is vegging out. But then when I have work, all I do is work. And that means not eating on time, maybe eating one meal a day, but I'm sleeping throughout the morning. I was like, what? Because, we don't get enough representation on media. So this was kind of nice.
Yeah.
But yes, the writing, the details in the writing. Anisa, I love that they leave those awkward pauses hanging. The conversation, it gets really smart, really snappy, and you're like, oh my God, this is so glib. Is it going to be too glib? But no, then they have an awkward pause where they are like both kind of dealing with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's this break in a conversation that's perfect.
I think early on, maybe it was in one of our chats, we were comparing it unfavorably to Record of Youth. I mean, Record of Youth came off unfavorably because the thing with that one, it also had the snappy banter, but it felt so artificial because people just said the exact most witty and, smart thing. They never tripped up on themselves. They never made any mistakes. And this, like you said, it does. It keeps the awkward pauses. And I think that's also partly really good editing. But you see people say the wrong thing and then backtrack and then think of what they actually want to say. But it still has a lot of wit and a lot of fun and a lot of humor and a lot of pathos.
It does.
It breaks my heart every week. I'm like, oh, I thought this was going to be light, and I'm just crying right now.
I know.
One other thing that I wanted to mention about the writing is that I don't think, and I noticed this particularly with episode 8, but I don't think I've ever seen a K-drama that's this honest about money or about work before. Even workplace dramas, it's a very like sanitized, fluffy. I mean, yeah, you have like the bad boss but they were
But
talking about
everyone
like
else
their
is
student
good.
debt and like it was very refreshing.
It was very refreshing. And I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Something for the dialogue. Oh, that the dialogue, the banter is just something that always leads somewhere. Like it's always leading the story, it's always giving us more information, and it's just something that makes you feel like I just learned a little more about this character. It's never banter just for the heck of it. And I'm
Mhm.
just going to stop using that word now because I think we've already overused it.
Yeah, we've done a lot too much on banter.
We absolutely have.
Yeah, and just to pick up on Liliana in the chat said, this show is so mature. The honesty and banter between all the characters is great. And Ashini also mentioned the dialogue. It's really nice to see how honest these characters are. And they are all, like, all four of the leads are very blunt and sometimes, like, uncomfortably honest, but it makes it really, it adds a lot of tension and a lot of interest and, like, fun to dialogue, which otherwise, like, because the premise is not, if you tell somebody the premise, they're like, okay, it's just a regular slice of life rom-com, like what's the big deal? But because they say the thing, instead of like not saying the thing, and then for 5 episodes everyone's like pouting because they don't understand each other, it's really, and in fact, like the conflict that came in episode 7 was because they are saying the thing, but both of them are not saying, they're not on the same page about what they feel, and they don't understand each other's communication styles. But it's not that they're avoiding communicating. So I just really, really love that.
Exactly. The idea that you can explore the initial discomfort when you're getting to know the person you're interested in on the screen is just really new to me, because usually when it's true love, it's really easy according to dramas. Everything is smooth. You understand each other perfectly. It just, everything syncs, even though you have wildly different, maybe social, cultural, just life experience, history. But the thing is that, hold on, I'm looking at the comments for a second. The thing is that these people just make sure that the fact that these are very different people, all four of them are very different people, is very obvious from the way they interact with each other. Sometimes one of them says something and the other doesn't get it. And they don't get it not because they are stupid or the other person didn't make sense. They don't get it because their life experience didn't give them the context to get it. And then sometime later they do get it because they have now learned something more about this other character in the in the duration of that particular episode, maybe. And by the end of the episode, now they would get it. I'm trying to be really vague because I don't want to be super spoilery, and the spoilers are all in the details in this drama. It's
That's
not
true.
Yeah, it's not the story. The story is, people find careers they love, I guess, or success. It's not there. It's very hard to blur this particular drama, which is
It's
probably
very
why.
like youth living their lives and finding love and friendship along the way. So yeah, that's a tagline. Just came up with it. Also, it's not only like I remember when I was in high school and I was taking psych, like intro to psych, and they were talking about how when you first become friends with someone or you start a relationship with someone, how people get close to each other is by revealing details about themselves. And that's one of the things that, for example, the male lead, Se-kyung, played by Im Shi-wan, he has to learn that because he doesn't, even though he's like very blunt and honest, he never says anything unnecessary. And that's one of Miju's frustrations with him, right? Because he just like gives the minimum amount of information. She's like, do I really have to be petty and ask you for these small details? Like, what's wrong with you? And then there's like, it's not only in the romantic relationship though, it's in the friendships, right? So like Dana, who's the chaebol, and Miju also are very different people, and there's some like friction right there between them. And it's very entertaining to watch.
It's especially entertaining because Dana finds creating the friction fun. It's not like it's a second female lead and, female lead friction over a man, even though that's how Dana kind of manufactured it. The fact of the matter is that dynamic does not exist here. They're not fighting over a man. Dana just really likes teasing Miju for whatever reason. So she's just creating this situation, and she's having fun with it. And I really, really like her character. And the interesting thing that I noted was Dana has a lot of points of contact with different pockets of this universe. And that we know little stories about different characters, like the mother and the daughter, where the daughter, like her, I think she's a scout in Dana's company. Her daughter wants to play football, but she's hiding it from her mother.
Oh,
She
yes.
is connected through her brother to the male second lead. It's just that we know little bits of pockets across the universe of this drama, and they are not completely connected. They're separated by certain degrees. But Dana seems to be in some way or the other connected to all of them, and she gets to kind of interface with a lot of these characters, and different aspects of her own character comes out through that. Like one thing I was not expecting was that initially Dana's relationship with Im Shi-wan's character, I keep forgetting his name.
Sungyeom.
Sungyeom. It is hard to pronounce.
Hard name. Miju is right. It is hard to pronounce. It's okay. If even a Korean says it's hard to pronounce, we're okay. We don't have to feel bad.
Right. Exactly. So he sort of commented that when Miju said, I thought we were in a love triangle. That was just perfect. Because that they kind of built us up to that, and it was kind of a red herring, but yeah, okay.
You were going to mention something about Sungyeom, right?
I'm sorry?
You were going to mention something about Sungyeom.
I forgot.
We went on the pronunciation tangent.
We did. What was I? Oh, right. So about Dana insisting that she had a relationship with Sungyeom, or rather that he liked her first. And that went uncontested for pretty much the first 8 episodes. So we all assumed that must have been true. And then in the 8th episode, you have that coffee scene. I think it was 8th or the 7th episode. They have that coffee scene, and Sanghyun is just like, no, but I never liked you.
That was episode 8. Yeah, he was like, why do you keep saying that? She's like, it was a joke.
No, but I liked her. Why did you correct me before? Like, it's just, yeah.
She also has this really entertaining way of like saying things, and you don't. It's like the director Dong says, she's like, I never know if you're joking or you're serious, and she's never going to tell you either. So you just kind of have to, I mean, I love Dana. I did not expect to love her, but she is so interesting and so funny, and the only relatable Chaebol, honestly.
I thought she was going to be a catty second lead, but nope, she is her own entire character, which is something that I always love whenever they do that with second leads. I'm not entirely sure where this relationship is going, the second lead relationship between
with
Dana and
Young-ha?
with Tae. Yeah. Wait, Young-ha, sorry, is the actor name. And because on the one hand, I really enjoy their dynamic, that they technically have nothing in common, and Dana seems to forget about him. Aside from his art, she seems to forget about him whenever he's not around. So his art has made an impact, but he hasn't as yet. So I'm still a bit watchful.
Find him at school and wait for him. So he's not had that little of an impact. So here's my theory about Young-ha, because I remember seeing comments from people early on that were like, what is the purpose of this art student character? Why is he here? Like, he's just has nothing to do with anything. But I think what is interesting about him is he's very open-hearted. He comes from like a stable family, like unlike the other three. He seems to have like normal, loving parents. He's very happy. Like his mom sends him honey constantly. He's like got too much honey, and I definitely think that's a symbol. And so he is like super honest, just the same way they are. But with him, it also comes with like his whole heart. Like he just makes himself vulnerable really easily because he hasn't been hurt the same way they all have. Because like Miju is an orphan. Sungyeom has a really messed up family, and so does Dana, right? So none of them really interact with other people in a totally sort of healthy way because they all have their own issues of communication and like sort of intimacy issues or like sort of abandonment issues. And so like they're all at, like all three of them are like kind of at cross purposes because they all have these different issues. And he's just like here being a marshmallow, doing the ET thing. Oh my god, I love his friendship with Sung-kyung. He's just like bonded and glommed onto him, and he's just like adopted him, and Sung-kyung's just like, okay, I like you too. Let's be friends.
You know what he is? He is like in other dramas you have the female lead without any friends, and then she makes a friend, and it's usually with this over friendly Unni character. So it kind of feels like Yonghwa is that for Sung-kyung. Like he kind of brings the kitten home and makes sure that he's safe and fed and stuff. Because I mean, look at it from Song-kyung's perspective. He doesn't have friends. Dana's not a friend. His friend back in the racetrack thing is more of a competitor. He's a friend, but he's kind of just I forget the track runner's name.
Oh,
But
I
you know
think
what
it's
I'm talking about.
Young-il, I think.
Possibly.
Yeah.
He's kind of a friend, but he's more of a competitor, not really somebody who would even invite confidences and stuff.
Yeah,
and
he's more of a colleague, like just a
more of a
coworker
colleague.
kind of, yeah.
Exactly. Like a friendly colleague. But so I don't think Song-kyung has a friend. And here is this puppy who's suddenly like, Hyung! And he kind of just like decided that they are friends. And Song-kyung doesn't have any say about it. They have to be friends now because, Yoonghwa decided.
But also what I find so adorable is like once they had that first interaction in the grocery store, he is pure and sweet like the honey. I agree. So he like does the ET thing and he like immediately starts doing it with everyone. And then did you see when later on he's like Miju is pointing at him and he like and then like every time we see him he's on board, he's like doing it, and then like I don't know if this is just a thing that the director really loved for the writer, but like even when he was with his sister, when he goes to see when his sister goes to see their dad and he's also like feeding the cat at their house.
Yeah.
And he points at her and she also starts doing it and then she realizes that's not what he's doing. She puts her head down. There's so many little moments like that are just so great.
I have a theory that the director purposely allows the actors to just invent. Like, sometimes when the directors just let the reel run a little longer, they just hold the shot and let the actors do whatever. Because that moment when Sungha went to visit his mom on the set and they're having this really intense conversation, she's saying all of this stuff and then she's like, well, do you want to do the shoot with me? And he's like, no. And she's like, why are you so stubborn? Who did you get this from? And he just turns around and kind of like points at her and she puts her chin up. That could not have been directed. Because he looked like the actor, Im Shi-wan, he looked startled when he turned around to look at the actress playing his mom. It looked like but it worked. It was such a great moment.
It was great. It makes them feel like actual family members, like all those moments you feel like they're actual real people and not just stuff. And the ET thing also reminds me, one of the commenters, Alia Khan, said that you really love all the movie references that the female lead makes. And that's great. Like the movie references, we're doing spoilers, right? So the Godfather reference in episode 8, I was like rolling on the floor. It was so, and it wasn't just like a lot of the other ones have just been kind of like blink and you'll miss it. And other than that, like old timey movie scene last week, but it was like a long, like they slowly pan down the bed and she's like pulling back the covers and then, like her knee is just like there, and it was just like the music. It was so good.
Oh my god! And because I was not expecting that, it came out of the blue. I was like, well, how did this thing suddenly turn Hitchcock? I mean, why? And why? What is the mystery? Why is she pulling away the? Yeah, it was great.
Now I kind of knew it was coming because, like, as they close it on the bed, there's like that Godfather-y type music, and then I was like,
no, I didn't get that. I didn't get that till the bedsheet had been pulled.
The Oni head. Oh, that was great.
The Oni head.
It was great.
It was fantastic. I have a lot of respect for K-dramas for dealing with really messed up parental relationships on screen. This drama kind of, like, it really just, these are not normal parent-children relationship problems, but they are just so, I don't know what to say, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, you know what's really well done about them is that usually, I mean, we haven't got much about Miju's parents, but I mean, they're not in the picture, right? And like, how much can they say about her foster? Like, there's not really much they can show us on the screen about her absent family. But what I really love about both Dana's family and Sungkyung's family is that it's not like a parental unit where like your parents are just like this and then they affect you like so it's not that simplified. He has a different relationship with his dad. He has a different relationship with his mom. His mom also has, you know, like it's a complicated dynamic because she kind of knows, like she's been kind of allowing the abuse and she's been neglecting her kids, but she's not as like unrepentant as his father is. She still loves the dad even though she knows what kind of person he is. So like that's complicated. And then you have Dana's dad, who is horrible, but it's not like one or the other. Like they're just good and you love them, or they're terrible and you just cut them off. Like she still lives at home. It's really complicated, her relationships with her half brothers. Like that scene where her younger brother is like, "At least you hate me," instead of just treating me like I'm invisible. Like that's affection. And then you suddenly understand why he's like addicted to social media and like the attention that he gets from his fans. So I mean, all these little details, like you can see the ripples of those parental sort of disappointment kind of going all over. Yeah, it affects. It's very smart writing, is what I want to say.
So with Dana's younger brother, the idol actor, I'm not sure who it's played with. Che Jae-hyun.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him.
Taewong, yeah, so Taewong. So with Taewong's character, I find him a bit like I mean, that is not normal, right? The kind of obsession he has with his Nuna. But other than the fact that he doesn't have a family, and apparently he had been off sick for a long time. From the little bits of information we have,
I have a feeling that he has he might have the same heart condition as she does, because there's one scene where his like group members kind of surprises him. He's like, "Oh, my heart is so expensive. What are you doing?" And then she also says like, "You basically lived in the hospital when you were in the U.S." So I wonder if they have this. Maybe it's like a genetic heart condition, and both of them have it.
Yeah, that absolutely is possible, but that's not something that they've dealt with. The aspect of this, her brother, kind of, I don't know, about worshipfulness towards Dana that I find interesting is that, like, he's like this puppy that gets kicked and then keeps coming back to its master. It's kind of abusive, and it's not like Dana does it purposely. She's trying to push him away, but he just refuses to let that relationship go. So it's kind of a little disturbing to watch, but also really heartbreaking. I mean, yeah.
Now that we know where it comes from, it makes a lot more sense. And I also have a theory about why she hates him so much. I don't think it's only because of the fact that he's her half brother, but because at the end of that conversation, she says, like, "Why of all people did you have to be my brother?" And I wonder if it's because he's been able to pursue his dream and her dream was totally shut down, right? And she's having to sort of, carry on the family company. And she's sacrificing so much for it. Like she tells her older brother, she's like, "You're the heir, but I'm the one who actually cares about the image of the company. I'm the one who's actually working hard to make things work." But she had to give up her dream of being a soccer player, and that was taken from her in a really cruel way.
And not just that, I mean, think about it. Apparently, she wanted the art gallery, the family art gallery, but it was given to the younger brother. Mm-hmm. Apparently, she was the oldest child, but her father forged the birth certificate and made her, the second older child, the older brother. So technically, they have a 10-month difference, but the other way around. And it's just
he's not only not her older brother, he's like the child of his dad with a mistress that he was cheating on her mother with. Like, and her mother's dead on top of that. So it's just,
It's super, super, super messed up. I know. But the thing that I find the most fun here is Song-kyung's dad, the assemblyman guy. What's his name?
Korean Trump.
Korean Trump. That's the guy.
The secretary is like, put the phone away, sir.
I loved his facial expression. He almost jumped towards the phone to take it away. So Ki Chang-do, that's the one. The actor is Park Young-gu, and he always does these kind of political, I don't know, the horrible politician characters.
And he plays overbearing dads a lot because he's got that booming, dad voice.
And that face, that pompous, I know what's best for my child, so long as it's for my benefit, face. And there is this really great scene with this guy where he's sort of inspecting the pictures of his individual members of his family, and as his eyes land on one member, he's thinking of kind of like the awards that they got, and therefore how that reflected on him, and he's looking proudly at his wife, at his daughter's picture, and then his eyes fall at Sung-kyung, who's just recently retired despite being told not to, and he's like, I'm so disappointed with this child. That was such a good, it was a short but really good scene, because it shows, without really having to go into this entire tirade, how he's always seen these members of his families as just stepping stone. Mm-hmm. And then Sung-kyung comes in and says, do you still just see us as tools? And that just hammers that in even more. So I really love how the dialogue and the direction, all of it just really works well together with this.
Have you heard that theory or that sort of metaphor called like the squeaky? I think it's called like the squeaky stare, or like basically it's a metaphor to describe abusive family dynamics, where if you have a staircase and one of the steps squeaks, and everyone just kind of avoids that step because they know it squeaks.
Okay.
And it's used to describe how in an abusive family relationship, everyone just kind of makes space around the abusive person to like not set them off. And then when a new person comes into there, they step on the squeaky stair because like they're expecting everything to be normal, but everybody else is like, oh no, you can't, So that I noticed that when like, first of all, in that really horrible dinner scene where he kind of confronts his dad for the first time and he like throws something at him, and then he throws a glass at him, and then his sister like slowly moves the water glass
away, yeah.
Just like so to kind of diffuse or like prevent as much as possible more violence.
There was no shock on any of their faces, so clearly it's happened before.
Yeah, just like regular dinner happenings. And then later on, when he has the conversation that you were talking about, where Sung-kyung's basically like, I know that we're just tools, but I can't do this anymore. And then he leaves, and then he tells the secretary, I don't understand, like, I haven't changed. And the secretary is like, maybe he's changed. So it's like normal, like it's so normalized. And I really like how it's just very smart. It's just really, really realistic and smart about these things. And that's what I think really elevates it from like any other slice of life romance.
True. The one thing that, I just experimented with the visuals for a second. The one thing that I really love about Im Shi-wan's performance in this drama, I haven't honestly seen him in much. I've just seen him in Misaeng years back. I don't know if he's done much in between. Has he?
He's done like one movie since he did another drama, and then he went to the army. The drama was an adaptation of the My Sassy Girl movie, but it was like a saga. It was bad. The King Loves, I think. And then once he came back from the military, I think he's only done a movie. I think this is his first drama. He came back.
Okay, so the thing that I really like about his performance is I don't know if it's intentional because, like I said, I haven't seen him in enough. He seems very raw. Like he doesn't know how to act in certain situations, or that he's thinking about something else while other people are having really intense conversations. Even that scene with his mother, when his mom is making this really intense, emotional confession, he's kind of looking around the set like he's curious about the lighting. You know what I mean? And usually with a different actor, I would have found that really distracting. But for some reason, with Im Shi-wan, I'm not finding it distracting. That feels like part of the character's architecture. Like he's listening, but he doesn't appear like he's listening. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can't tell if he's playing it as like he has a like slightly like neurodivergent, or if he's just someone who's really used to hiding his emotions completely because of being raised in an abusive household. I can't really tell, or like because he's been alone all his life and nobody interacted with him, so he just doesn't have all those like all those facial expressions you put on your face in order to make the other person feel comfortable. I feel like nobody ever did that for him. So he doesn't know how to do it to anybody else, or maybe he's, has, slightly different, like psychologically. Okay. I don't know. I can't tell.
Honestly, I think it might be a mix of these things. That he's probably, because abuse, even negligence, that counts as abuse from your parents, can result in certain neurodivergence. I mean, stuff that maybe you can work out with your therapist, but he clearly is not talking to a therapist. So as far as the character is concerned, I find the portrayal very convincing. I found it a bit odd initially, but then I got really used to it, because even though the character looks very distracted, when it comes to the moment and he says these things suddenly, these really emotional things suddenly, they seem to have more of an impact. So I don't know, for now I'm really enjoying the way he's portraying the character, and especially with Miju's very straightforward, almost blunt way of expressing her opinions and feelings. This juxtaposition really works. Okay, hey, you love the whole cohabitation thing, right?
Yes. Because they were like, she was like, come stay with me. And he was like, no. And I was like, oh, dang it. We're not getting cohabitation. Then it happened.
Yeah, but I mean, how did you feel about the fact that it was cohabitation, but not quite cohabitation, because they barely saw each other during the time they spent in the same house?
I liked that because it was very different. It was not what I was expecting. Also, like, the third room is the living room. She's like, you can have the third room. We have 3 rooms. It's literally just on the couch in the living room.
Which looks very uncomfortable, by the way.
You know what I really liked about that is how you got to see how, like, their days and nights, like, they're not on the same wavelength in any way. Like, in some ways, they're very much on the same wavelength. But then if you look at him, like, even though he's basically unemployed now, he still gets up at 5 a.m. every morning, goes for his run. And she's like just busy, and she doesn't make really, and he's like, I thought you were gonna make time for me, and she's like, oh yeah, well, if I'm not busy, but I'm busy right now. She's just like, goes back to work. Yeah, that was very interesting, because like there is something about meeting someone outside and then like living with them, right? It's totally different. And there's a big difference about like bringing them into your own space and seeing people when they're not like on, they're in their pajamas, or they're
Absolutely, I love that. It was a great way of showing how different they were. It was a much better way of showing their difference than if we had just seen them in their individual spaces, which we had been, by the way. We had been observing them in their individual spaces. And I mean, most characters get to know each other, most romantic partners in dramas get to know each other mostly through conversations. Here, they actually got to experience what each other's life, day cycles were. That is just so much more information than you would usually get in the initial stages of a relationship. So yeah, bang on. I loved that they did it. The one thing that I found really interesting was in the absolute final, like the latest episode that we watched, which is episode 8, they have this thing where, like you said, like workplace issues. One of the workplace issues that Miju's character is going through right now is that she is in this seaside space where this foreign cast and crew have come over. She needs to translate for them, and the local cast and crew, like the small, like the lower level quote unquote staff, were given really poor accommodations because they're trying to save up on money. And then you have Im Shi-wan's character comes in, and Sung-yoon comes in, and he's like, well, can I just help you guys move into the better hotel, because he doesn't like the sheets. Like, he's literally holding his nose when he comes into the hotel. This is why I really like this guy. He's got no pretense whatsoever. He is a privileged little boy, and he comes into this really crappy hotel. He looks at the sheets, he looks at the bathroom, and he's like, No, we can do better.
Yeah. He doesn't have any false modesty, which is also refreshing, even if it does annoy people. But also yeah, I mean he's a rich boy. So what do what do you want him to do? Like pretend he's not rich? Like that's even more annoying, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I also really, 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 really loved the scene at the end of episode 6 and also the scene at the end of episode 8. I was dead. I was a puddle on the floor. I couldn't.
But as great as the episode 6 ending was, the episode 8 ending was what kind of killed me, because they took a normal lover helps you get better, by sitting at your bedside, like your sick bed situation, which we've seen a million times, and makes it something a little better by introducing that whole the name thing, which, yeah, it gets too spoilery because it's a good moment. You should watch it and experience it for yourself.
Yeah. No, it's all about the details. Like you have the same scenes, the same tropes playing out, but the details are so different and fresh and unexpected. And these two people are so weird in like a really nice and entertaining and relatable way. Like they don't have all their weird bits sanded off in order to make like nice, pretty romantic leads. They have those weird bits. They leave the weird bits in. That's my review for this drama, and it's good.
They absolutely leave the weird bits in, and they weave in backstories through these small occurrences. Like they're having a normal conversation. One of them says, "Okay, I'm going to do a bit of a spoiler. I'm going to put on the spoiler tag thing on screen. So while it's on screen, those of you who are watching the live stream, please mute this." So when Miju is talking about when she's calling out to her mom, and Song-hyun is like, call out my name, call out someone's name who's actually here, and it harkens back to that conversation in the car that they had, where she explains that she says, like, she calls out to her mother, not because she does it, because she had ever had a mother to call out to it, because children in school and hospitals, they do it, and it was a learned behavior from other children. It's not something that was such a great moment. That was such a pretty, like, not a pretty, that was such a good reveal, but that information was just fed to us in that tiny morsel of a moment. You know what I mean?
Okay, and you get so much backstory because she says, like, people do so many things in order not to be ostracized, and you can hear her history being ostracized during her entire childhood just in that one sentence. It's so good.
You absolutely can.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was planned to be like a 30-minute live. We're already at 40 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We really wanted to talk a bit about this drama because we are enjoying it a lot. We didn't say this, but I personally think that this drama, like, if the writer of Temperature of Love had written this drama, that would have been believable instead of her writing Record of Youth, because this feels like a spiritual sequel to Temperature of Love in my own head. You guys might not see any connection whatsoever, but
I only watched one episode of Temperature of Love, so.
Okay, that's just something I feel. And aside from that, really liking this drama, really liking the dynamics, love the way this romance is building. And oh my god, I forgot to mention that amazing scene in the movie theater where Mijo just grabs Song-kyung's hand and walks away, like when his father is being an ass to her, and instead of curling in on herself like she had done in a previous interaction with him, she just takes his hand and walks away. And that is just so perfect, especially because Song-kyung's mom is like, you give her money? What are you going to do next? Throw water on her face?
He's like, I have to do something else now. And she's like, what are you going to do? Practice throwing water in her face? I was like, yeah, go, Mom. But Mom's like, I'm an actress. I know all the tropes.
She does know all the tropes, and she's just perfect. I love it. I hope Sung-hyun and his mom can, bond more. Yeah. I like their moments together.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're really excited for the second half of this. Hopefully it will not disappoint us. I'm like so invested now that I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared by how much I love this. But yes, thank you so much for joining us. This was really fun. And for
Yeah,
leaving comments, and that way we could talk back too. That was really nice.
that is true. Okay. And I guess we are done. This was our live little yak, and we'll see how we feel at the end of this drama. We might do another one of this.
Yes. Have a good rest of your weekend if it's the weekend for you.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Bye.